January 8th, 2026. I appreciate you clicking on the video. Today we're going to be talking about Bitcoin, strategy, and Metaplanet, the three things that we've been talking about and are going to continue talking about. It's been a while since I've made a video. I'm glad to be back. I was taking some time, spending time with family, enjoying the holiday, getting ready for 2026. I hope everybody's going into the new year in good spirits, and hopefully we can set ourselves up for our futures. So, today we're going to be talking about time preference, what this means, how it relates to Bitcoin, and how that we can use the idea of time preference to improve our lives. Before I get into that though, I quickly want to mention why I'm so interested in these Bitcoin treasury companies, because a lot of times when I mention them, I hear from people, you're such a fan of Bitcoin. Why don't you just buy Bitcoin? Why do you take on this risk? Why do you involve yourself with these third parties? And there are two main reasons. One, these companies trade at an MNAV, which is the multiple of the net asset value. The market sets the price, and a 1 MNAV would mean the price is equal to the value of the Bitcoin that they hold. A 2 MNAV would mean the price is equal to double the Bitcoin that they hold. Since I've been following these companies, I've seen them trade at 1, 2, 3, 4, and even higher multiples. What this means for me as an investor is that if Metaplanet or strategy were to go to a 2 MNAV, that's an opportunity for me to sell some of these shares for more fiat than I bought in for and buy more Bitcoin. If I just invest in Bitcoin, although it is a good idea to invest in Bitcoin, if I only invest in Bitcoin, I'll never have that opportunity because spot Bitcoin is 1 to 1. It moves with Bitcoin. The MNAV is 1 forever. The Bitcoin that I buy today represents the same amount of Bitcoin as it will in 10 years. The Bitcoin treasury company share that I buy today fluctuates between representing a certain fiat value in relation to the Bitcoin. It can trade at 1, 1.5, 2, 3. It can trade at different MNAVs. And every time the market values these companies higher than a 1 MNAV, that's an opportunity for a person who holds the shares to sell their shares into the market at a premium and collect extra fiat to buy more Bitcoin with. So my long-term strategy is to hold Metaplanet and strategy in addition to holding Bitcoin to give myself upside, to give myself an opportunity to accumulate more Bitcoin. I believe I will eventually own more Bitcoin through holding these treasury companies than I would if I only bought spot Bitcoin. The second main reason, which goes hand in hand with this first reason, is that these companies are increasing Bitcoin per share. Each share that I buy is not going to represent the same amount of Bitcoin today as it will in 10 years. Historically, strategy has increased Bitcoin per share. Historically, Metaplanet has increased Bitcoin per share. And I believe that they're going to continue doing that into the future. I think that it provides more upside and it's asymmetric. And I just think that I will be in control of more Bitcoin if I invest in these companies. This is not financial advice. I just see it as something that allows the compounding of the value of Bitcoin to happen alongside the compounding of the value of the share in terms of Bitcoin. If you follow what I'm saying, there's multiple layers of compounding when I hold Metaplanet and when I hold strategy. So, to get into time preference, if you're not familiar with what time preference is, high time preference describes a person that wants immediate gratification, a person that doesn't have the tolerance to wait for the payout. Low time preference describes the person, or the perspective, I should say, that is okay with waiting because the value of what they're waiting for in the future is greater than the immediate value. They see past the idea that something now is worth more than something later, because in reality, oftentimes something later is worth more than something now. And one reason for this is it might be harder to come by in the future. And like most desirable goods, that's true. Land used to be more um, abundant, it used to be cheaper. You could get it for a price that you could never imagine getting it for today. In the past, you could get land for X dollars. Today, the chance of you owning land is very, very, very slim. You're probably going to have to rent property from someone else who was fortunate enough to own this land. It's the same thing with housing. It's the same thing with really anything that's scarce, anything that has a somewhat fixed supply. You can see it in the price of gold. Gold has a somewhat fixed supply, and you can see gold just over time just exploding, just basically just ascending for forever because the more people that have it, the harder for you it is to accumulate it. This is ultimately true with Bitcoin. Bitcoin is the perfect example of a scenario like this because it has a fixed supply, 21 million coins. There will never be more. The people that bought it when a small fraction of those coins were owned or mined, they got it for a couple bucks. The people today who are trying to get their hands on it while we're 16 years into its life, they're paying $90,000 for a coin. The people in 10 years from now, 26 years into Bitcoin's life, are going to be buying Bitcoin for millions of dollars. And that process will continue because it's scarce and it's desirable, and its scarcity makes it desirable. And the more scarce it becomes, the more desirable it comes, and the more we are willing to trade for it. That is going to be the process. We're already witnessing it. We're seeing a mad dash for Bitcoin. We're seeing it on an institutional level. We're seeing it between nation states competing to have Bitcoin. And soon enough, we'll be seeing it on an individual level. They're doing a pretty good job keeping individuals asleep as of now. Part of why I make these videos, I would like uh, us as individuals to not be asleep. I think it would be ideal if the individual could own property. And I think Bitcoin provides us with an opportunity as individuals to own property, at least now. In the future, my kids' kids, they might be competing for paper Bitcoin. It might be so hard to even accumulate actual Bitcoin that they're just going to have to. I mean, we already see this with the ETFs, but they're going to just have to take IOUs or paper notes that are basically our fiat that represent Bitcoin. I like to think that that won't be the case, but as of now, we have the opportunity to go on our phone, go on River, buy $100 of Bitcoin, send it to cold storage for relatively cheap. So I hope that people start to do this. I hope people do their research and find their own conviction because the more time moves forward, the harder it is to do this. Point I want to make about time preference is that I think something that separates people is their ability to separate themselves. I think that's the main thing that separates people. You get what you get out of life as a result of your ability to see yourself as a factor or an entity that is not fixed within time. The more you see yourself as a fixed object that is in this fourth dimension that we understand as time, the more you see yourself as something that is static and that does not have the ability to create or build or change or maneuver its situation, the more you will manifest that as truth. The less you will manifest what you want out of this world. I think some people can see themselves moving through time and understand that they're creating their future every day with their actions and with what they build and what they invest in and the utility that they provide to the world. I think some people understand that each day they're growing towards whatever it is that they want. Some people believe that each day it's like Bill Murray Groundhog's Day and that they're going to wake up tomorrow the same person they are today, and the day after that, they're going to be the same person that they were tomorrow, and that they don't have the ability to maneuver. And there's a lot of factors that go into that, but I think a big part of it is time preference. I think if you have high time preference and you want what you want today and you're not going to think about the future and you're not going to let your idea of the future impact your decisions, you're going to make decisions based on today. You're going to use credit cards. You're going to do things against your best interest for material or sensory pleasure. You're going to do these things that don't set yourself up to succeed. If you have a low time preference and you believe in trading off certain pleasures or certain um, activities or ways of living today for the ability to have more freedom tomorrow, then you will find yourself on a path towards what you want. And to illustrate this idea, I would say imagine if you paused time. I think if you pause time, what you would notice is that the main freedom that we have in this reality is the ability to use the time that we have to make the next frames of time better. If you pause time, you would have the time to understand that it's not moving quicker than you are. You can move and you can move it and you can maneuver within it. We are busy. We wake up every day. Things seem mundane. There's a lot that suggests that we don't have the power to change our situation. I think you have to see past this. You have to believe that you can. You have to have faith in yourself and faith in your ability to change your situation over time. And if you do that, you'll get what you want. I think Bitcoin represents this process. I think putting aside money every week, every day, sacrificing a little bit of your today for your tomorrow, I think Bitcoin gives us a tool to do that and it be rewarded. Because the thing is, fiat doesn't allow us to build because we can't save in it. We can't save in dollars. Purchasing power will erode. You're better off spending it. You're better off living it up today because your tomorrow's not promised. Your tomorrow's being inflated. Um, the Federal Reserve is printing your tomorrow and spending it today. Now we have Bitcoin, we have scarcity, we have the ability to be forward thinking. And I would really be upset if nobody notices this until it's too late. I feel empowered for myself because I think that I'm onto something with saving in Bitcoin, saving in strategy and Metaplanet, creating something for myself for tomorrow with my time today. And none of this is financial advice, but I think it's a matter of time until the masses notice this and the opportunity will not be the same as it is today. Because once everybody knows, we don't have this asymmetric opportunity like we have today. So the sooner we realize this, the better. The sooner we think about time preference, the better. The sooner we consider our future every day and we act upon these considerations, the better. So this video got a bit longer than I wanted it to. I just wanted to try to describe my thoughts on time preference. Um, the final thing I'll say is there was a good example from Safety Moose in the Bitcoin Standard. He used the example of two different people catching fish. One person is catching fish with their hands. The other person is spending time away from catching fish today to build a fishing pole. And then they're now catching fish with a fishing pole, and that buys them time because they have more fish than the first person to build a boat, which then buys them the opportunity to go further out at sea and catch fish that the first person could never imagine catching. And the reason the second person ever had that opportunity is because they had low time preference and they accepted not catching fish for a couple days. I thought that's a good example. It's an easy way to understand the difference between high time preference and low time preference. So I wanted to throw that in the video. I forgot to mention it, but I appreciate you clicking on the video. I hope everybody is going into 2026 with positive feelings about their future and about themselves. And if you're not, you just look into Bitcoin. You might give yourself some hope. Thank you.